Hello everyone, my name is Trikopeni and here is Sapporo Beer Garden in its city. Of course, lots of people imagine white nature, lake, plain, sea, kind of that when they heard Sapporo and Hokkaido. But Sapporo is the fourth biggest city in Japan and there are things to do in here. In this video, I will introduce them to you by its theme, like observatory, park, attractions, shopping, kind of that. Yes, it's time to discover Sapporo. Sapporo, a checkerboard-shaped planned city, has some cool and well-designed parks. Of course, it's Hokkaido, where you can actually get out into the countryside and enjoy the vastness of nature. But anyway, parks in the city are different experiences, right? Especially snow-covered parks in winter, which is something you don't get to see in other popular cities in the south. Here are some of Sapporo's most iconic parks. First up is Odori Park in the center of the city, Sapporo's signature park. It's almost identical to Hisaya Odori Park in Nagoya, but it's little less commercialized, because there are no cafes or shops inside the park. Instead, Sapporo gets a lot of snow, which adds to the wintry feel of the park. So it's a great place to hang out. And one more advantage of this park, because of its location, you don't need to spend time to come here. This is very important, a good accessibility. Of course, it's even more fun when there are special events, New Year's Eve countdown, Christmas, snow festivals, etc. Especially the snow festival in early February is the peak of Odori Park. If Odori Park were a rectangular man-made shape, Nakajima Koen to the south is more natural park. There is a lake, walking path, and the subway station is in front of the park and the streetcar passes at the west entrance, so it's also very accessible in a lot of ways. There's not much to see here, but it's easy to get to. The Hoheikan used to be a frontier hotel. It's the granddaddy of all the hotels in the neighborhood. If you look for a nice hotel in Sapporo, Nakajima Park is a good option because of its view. I want to taste the real park, but I don't have much time. Come to Nakajima Koen. Maruyama Park is a small park at the foot of Mount Maruyama. West of Sapporo is really small. And it's really close to Hokkaido Jingu Shrine, Maruyama Zoo, or the Okurayama ski jumping area. So it's a bit busier than crowded than Nakajima Koen. And many snowmen are made in winter. You can often see snow animals in front of the zoo too. So snow moles, very cute. The park itself is tiny, so it's not really a destination, but if you're coming to Maruyama Park Station to visit other sightseeing spots nearby, you will automatically pass this place. Actually, it's not park, it's a school. Unlike a park where there are not many artificial objects inside, the university buildings blend in with the trees. It's the one of the imperial universities in Japan. The traditional campus is very beautiful and classic. As a tourist, you're mostly just there to take the scenery, so I can introduce here in a park as content. It's a big university, but you don't have time to go all the way in. Enter the main gate on the north side of Sapporo Station, walk up to the statue of Dr. Clock, and go around the corner through the ginkgo trees. You can go right out from there and take the subway back to the city at Kitaju Nijo Station, or you can walk back. It appeals to campus mania. The last park, the farthest park in this video, is Moerenuma, which is the farthest away. From the observation deck in downtown Sapporo, you can see a couple of strange hills in a distance. Yes, that's Moerenuma. It's about an hour's ride to Moerenuma from city center with 102 transfer, so it's not very accessible. But there's really high percentage of locals, and the hills create a lot of different things to see and do. So if you have a lot of time in the city, it's definitely worth a visit on your second or third trip to Sapporo. Shiseki-no, Sapporo's largest entertainment and dining area. This area starts under the impressive Nika whiskey sign, the German guy of medieval age. It's not without shopping content, but it's more about food, such as Genghis Khan, ramen, and various izakaya. In fact, it has a lot of nightlife too. Susukino is the one of the biggest nightlife area in Japan, with Tokyo's Shinjuku Kabukicho and Fukuoka's Nakasu. Of course, it's not all about nightlife, but there are plenty of places to eat as well. You will find Daruma, the famous Genghis Khan restaurant, and also the Sapporo Ramen Alley is in here. If you're looking for something a little more famous food in the evening, you will finally head to Susukino. Of course, many of these places has long queues, so you will have to make some tough choices. Well, I will take the fame and wait. Or I will go to a lesser known place and eat the comfort, go other place. Next up is Tanuki Koji, located just up the block from the center of Susukino. It's a big arcade shopping street. It got restaurants, but it's also got the most drugstores and souvenir shops. There's Mega Don Quixote and a lot more. Also, the arcade street itself is pretty and has a nice people watching atmosphere. It's a fun place to just walk around. That's what the arcade district does. And there are a lot of cheap places to stay too. Unlike Susukino, where it's full of nightlife, this place is completely wholesome. And up Tanuki Koji to Odori Park, you will find the usual shopping facilities, Michikoshi Parko, Marui department stores, and other various malls. But shopping is the main purpose for tourists on their Sapporo travel, so it's not very touristy. Sapporo Station is a main station in whole Hokkaido. It's a typical large Japanese railway station shopping district. There are department stores and shopping malls attached to the station. Of course, there are also dining areas too. It's always a lot of people in there. And around the station, you will find Big Camera, Yodobashi Camera, and other stores. Especially in the center of Sapporo, these are the only stores, so there's no other choice when it comes to electronic shopping. Because Sapporo is so one-dimensional, there is no other downtown area except Susukino to Sapporo Station Line. However, there is one place that stands out, and that is Sapporo Factory. This would be a normal shopping mall, but it's not just a modern mall. It was a factory. It was a former Sapporo brewery that has been renovated and added on to make it a nice mall. The stuff they sell is just a mall stuff, but Atrium has a really nice atmosphere and it's not far from the Sapporo station, so it's definitely worth to visit. Although Sapporo has the short history of settlement, but thanks to the bounty of the sea and the land, Hokkaido has some of the best ingredients in Japan. There's tons of seafood and dairies, and meat are incredible. And then this is Sapporo, the center of Hokkaido, a city of over 2 million people and lots of tourists. They can afford it. As a result, Sapporo has lots of fascinating food. Just to name a few, miso ramen, uni, salmon roll, and other seafood dishes, Genghis Khan, a delicious grilled lamb and vegetable dish, and in Japan, where curry is very popular, but Sapporo soup curry has its own personality. Food also can be a reason to travel Sapporo, but the food part would be too long, so I'm going to separate it into another video. Please be patient. What makes Sapporo different from other major Japanese metropolitan area is that it lacks a lot of traditional elements, much less than Kyoto, much less than bombed out Tokyo, even Otaru and Hakodate in same Hokkaido. But it's still a big city. There are plenty of things to do in Sapporo for a short trip. First, the clock tower in the center of Sapporo. It was built in 1878. During the colonization of Hokkaido, the clock tower was attached to the school to keep time. Later, this small agricultural school became the Hokkaido University, and now it's just a clock tower, and also a landmark in Sapporo. It's right next to Odori Park, between Susukino and Sapporo Station, so even if you don't want to pass by, you will. This small building is the most important cultural property in Sapporo. It really makes you realize how short Sapporo's history is. But the wooden building itself is well preserved, and there is a statue of the first headmasters of school, Mr. Clark. It's also quite unusual to see a wooden building among modern buildings. One of Sapporo's specialty is Sapporo beer. There are many famous beers such as Kirin, Suntory, and Asahi, but none of them are branded with the name of the city like Sapporo and emphasize the city's identity like Sapporo. Of course, the breweries are not only located in Sapporo or Hokkaido. Anyway, Sapporo Beer Garden is a beer garden in Sapporo and also means a beer garden operated by Sapporo Beer. This is not an active brewery, it's a museum in an old building. It will be a bit disappointing to say that you can see the brewing process, but you get to see the cool modern building and taste the beer. That's pretty a good deal. The tasting package of 3 glasses costs 1,000 yen, and it's not just the tasting, there's also restaurants. They sell Genghis Khan in there. You wouldn't expect it, it looks like a European style, but they serve Genghis Khan. I mentioned it one more time in the food video. Anyway, the beer here is really great. Hokkaido Jingu Shrine was founded in 1869 and is one of the most important shrine in Sapporo. But with so many old places to the south, so the architectural and historical narrative is normal. However, the snowy atmosphere of the shrine in winter is quite unique. As for the location, I mentioned in Maruyama Park, it's also worth a quick look around without a big time investment. And the other direction of Maruyama Park, in the deeper, you will find Sapporo Zoo. Because Sapporo is a northern region in Japan, it gets a lot of snow in the winter and is very cold. This works well with monkeys, polar bears and wolves here. It's something you don't see in the zoo in warmer regions. Last is Shiroi Koibito Park. Literally translated is a white lover's park, but actually this is a name of cookie made by Ishiya Confectionery. The cookie with white chocolate is really tasty. It's kind of Hokkaido's specialty. Anyway, this Shiroi Koibito Park is a theme park created by Ishiya Confectionery to promote their sweets. It's a combination of a chocolate factory tour and some European-style buildings. Since Sapporo doesn't really have any major attractions in city center, it's hard to decide on a group tour. But here is a great place for them, so lots of people get off the bus. It seems far away, but it's only a short walk from the subway station. So it's not very inaccessible as Moerenuma Park. You have time, but you don't want the park that's just sitting there, but want something colorful and active. This is the place to go. Finally, the observation deck part. Arguably the highlight of any city travel. Sapporo is optimized for city views in many ways. First of all, the city itself is made up of plains, so even if you climb up a little bit higher, you will have a great view. On the west side of the city, there is a mountainous area, so there are plenty of nature viewpoints too. Especially the city is covered with snow in winter. It's a unique point which is hard to find in other major Japanese cities. First up is Sapporo TV Tower, located at the eastern end of Odori Park, Sapporo's signature observation deck. The height is 147 meters, which is quite low, so the scenery from observatory is also wow, but not amazing. It's just like, oh, it's Sapporo. But there's a significance here is that you can see Odori Park up close and proper. From most other observation decks, you cannot see much of not at all. There's one exception, but we will get to that later. The entrance fee is 1,000 yen, which is expensive for the quality of the deck, but think of it as the price of a view of Odori Park. There is another restaurant in the middle of TV Tower, and the view is one of the best in Sapporo. However, the cost is high, and it's a bit difficult to get there without reservation. JR Tower 38 is an observation deck on the 38th floor attached to the Sapporo station. It is usually pronounced as just 38. This is the highest point of Hokkaido's tallest building. It is 50 meters higher than the TV tower, so you can get a cool view. However, it's also indoors, so it's lit up at night, and there's a reflection. That's a limitation of indoor observatories. But even though it's high, you cannot see Odori Park, so sometimes it feels like a dumpling without filling. If you want to see all around from the city center, but something higher, and you don't have a time to go up to the mountain viewpoint, so you can visit JR Tower 38. It's right up next to Sapporo Station, so it takes no time at all. Now we are going to talk about mountain observatories. First up is Okurayama, an observation deck with an awesome ski jump deck. It's located on the opposite side of Odori Park. It used to be a ski jumping venue for the 1972 Winter Olympic, and now it still used to be a ski jumping platform and observation deck. You can get here by bus from Maruyama Park. It costs 1,000 yen to go up to the observation deck by lift. There are some advantages. In winter, if you're lucky, you can see the athlete training with a panoramic view of Sapporo City. It's a fantastic experience. And second, the location is right in front of Odori Park, so you get a great view of TV Tower, the park, and the city. This is something that only TV Tower and Okurayama have. The third is that the way up is a completely open lift. It's not the same as being in the cable car with window. It's definitely cool and nice. Cons, the ski jump deck takes up a lot of view. If you're just looking for a great view of the city, you might be disappointed. And the second, the ski jumping, which was the first advantage, it really depends on the season and your luck. You cannot see in the summer without snow, and even in winter, it's not like they train every day. Even there is a ski jump and it's a real competition, you might not go up to the observation deck. The third is that it's not easy to get there. Kuramaru bus goes to Okurayama from Maruyama Station only one time per an hour. It's definitely a place that has these advantages and disadvantages. But when all conditions are okay, Okurayama can be a unique experience. Second is Asahiyama, a 137.5 meters high mountain, lower than the Sapporo TV Tower. A park commemorating the birth of Sapporo was built here. It's quiet and inaccessible, however it's less crowded and you can enjoy your own view. If you're feeling hipster, Asahiyama would be a good option. And this is a small park, even doesn't have an entrance fee. And last but not the least, the long-awaited Mount Moiwa Yama. At over 500 meters tall, it's even more higher than some of TV Tower and JR Tower. It's a great piece of nature. The altitude is so high that the view is unimaginably cool. It's amazing during the day, but it's even more amazing at night. And because it's an open-air observation deck, you don't have to worry about the reflections in glass. Of course, in the winter, it can get pretty cold. The only downside is the price. At 2,100 yen, it's the most expensive observatory in Sapporo. And if you add in the cost of transportation by streetcar, it's actually 2,500 yen. Of course, it's a lot of facilities and lots of operating costs. Anyway, expensive is expensive. But I hope you realize that the view of Moyoyama is worth the cost, unless it's really cloudy. So there's lots of things to do in Sapporo, isn't there? Let's summarize what we have learned today. Yes, this is it. Now you learn about things to do in Sapporo. As I mentioned in pros and cons of video, this city is not like Tokyo or Kyoto. The contents are limited, but qualities are great. This place where I finished this video is Asahiyama Memorial Park. It is less popular and lower than Moyama, the famous one, but I love this place. It's quiet, cool, and more close to the city. Thank you for watching this long video and thank you again.